Stick around for this episode because today we're taking a look at the Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber from the Kenobi TV show series. Let's get at it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Collector's Outpost. I am John. So today we're taking a look at the Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber that he was using in the television series. So it's basically the same version as he used in episode 3, probably a slight modification here and there, but overall it is that same idea, the same design, the same layout as the lightsaber he had in episode 3. Now it is not the lightsaber that he had in episode 4. Now this is an 89sabers, and I do have the 89sabers episode 4 version here as well. So we'll take a look at those side by side and just kind of compare what happened between episode 3.5, we'll call this, and episode 4. I mean, there was a few modifications, obviously, through the years of Kenobi living in the desert, but even Anakin's lightsaber changed from episode 3 to the Kenobi series, because obviously in A New Hope, we see the Graflex. Now, he was not using the Graflex in episode 3. So that's a whole different discussion altogether, and theories on what happened. Maybe Kenobi took his lightsaber from episode 3 and just modified the heck out of it, but like why? Because he's not there to use it anymore. But anyway, again, whole different story. Now, I know that the Disney series was not very popular amongst most people. I did enjoy the recut, which I'll put a link down below for. There was a fan that recut the whole thing, all of, what is 6 or 8 episodes, whatever the heck it was. And I do believe there's another one coming as well, hopefully soon. I know he did post something about it around Christmas time, that there's a ton of reshoots that they're doing and so much stuff to improve what Disney failed on with the Kenobi series, and so many problems. It was just nice to see Ewan McGregor back on the screen again as Obi-Wan Kenobi, because that part was just made for him. But yeah, if you want to have a really good movie night, I'll drop down below in the description a link of, I think it's called the Patterson cut, of a 2.5 hour version of the Kenobi series, and it is so much better. But anyway, this here is the lightsaber from that television show. This comes over to us from CCSABERS. Thanks so much to CCSABERS for sending this over for everybody to check out. I'll put a discount code and a direct link down in the description so you guys can go check it out. But before we dig into this, if you are new here, please drop down, hit the like button, subscribe, and notification button for all upcoming videos. I've got a ton of lightsabers still sitting here to get to, and I have a boatload of Star Wars 1/6 scale Hot Toys figures coming through. It just depends on Hot Toys' release date, but you don't want to miss it, so make sure you drop down and hit all those little buttons down there. And if you've been hanging out with me for the last few years, thanks so much for coming back. Let's get into this unboxing. So yeah, you guys have noticed that the 89sabers are now coming in these hard shell cases here. And let's dig on inside and see everything that we have here. So we obviously have the beautiful Kenobi episode 3.5 lightsaber. I gotta tell you, so many people have told me, oh, it's just a recast of the Korbanth KR Sabers Desert Wanderer. I honestly don't think so. I've put them side by side, and just at first glance, I do not believe that this is a recast of the Korbanth KR Sabers version of the Desert Wanderer. I do have the Desert Wanderer here that I bought from Korbanth, and we'll take a look at them side by side just so we can do a couple of measurements just to make sure. But again, just at first glance, side by side, they don't seem to match up. So also included is a swap out pommel. I mean, you guys know I love those things because I put these directly on display after I review them. And then we have an Allen wrench here in a little baggie. We do have a battery charger, really nice fancy white gloves, and honestly, with all the chrome that's on here and here, I probably should be wearing those. And then we have over here, this is important if you haven't used a Profi board. This is a Profi lightsaber. This is the new Profi 3.9 OS 7, and these will be all the different instructions on how to maneuver your way through the board and settings. And then, of course, it will come with a nice pixel blade. Now, I'm going to use my Quad Star blade from Civilized Sabers just because I really love this blade in the 89sabers. But yours will come with a blade. And let's, of course, not forget my favorite of stands. Here is the 89sabers acrylic stand, and when you pop that on there, you have a beautiful way to display this on your shelf like a real high-end collector. On the plaque it says Obi-Wan Kenobi American TV version lightsaber, high-end collector's edition. Now let's take a look at this lightsaber nice and close here, and I do believe that Kenobi probably has one of my more favorite lightsabers, this version and Episode 4. Episode 4 is probably my top, maybe 1 or 2 lightsabers. You know, I don't have a specific favorite lightsaber, that's the only thing. I just like so many of them. I just love the design of Kenobi's lightsaber, and it's definitely one that stands out over the years. Now, while I have this here, I'll pull out the Episode 4. Now, this is also 89 sabers. However, I have heavily modified all the weathering on it. I will put a direct link to the full review of this 89 sabers down below as well if you want to check that out. But this is all completely different as far as what you would get. For this, I did a lot of trying to replicate the look of the rust from the actual prop itself. And then there's some scratches and everything along the bottom half here, along with the clamp itself and around the bubble strip. You'll see some splattering of rust and some dirt. And on in the grip section here, I don't know how well you could see that because it's actually really dark in here, but there is a lot of rust painted in to the middle of the grenade section there. Let me see if I can get a little closer. I think you can see it a little bit on there. But there is some dirt and rust painted into the grip section over there as well. And up top, you've seen me actually use this type of chemical on a lot of my weathering videos. It's called aluminum black, but because this is brass, there is another chemical called brass black. So that's what I wound up using throughout all of this to do all that extra weathering and toning. And then up on top here, I did do some sanding and some aluminum black there for the emitter and all of that. Now, obviously, the top thing that you'll notice immediately is the length of the thin necks here. These are a little bit different. This is, I can barely fit my pointer finger in here, and then over here you could probably fit 1.5 pointer fingers. That's 1 full finger, and so is that. So the length of these changed. The wind vane completely changed over here. This is actually one solid piece. It doesn't have any openings. However, the episode, let me see if I can get a shot there so you could see all of that. And then also on here is the Graflex printed onto the clamp itself there. And what you won't find here on this version, because these were, they were manufactured for the movie. These are actual real parts from Episode 4. We're talking grenade sections and pieces of sinks. And up here was part of like a Rolls-Royce engine. So there was some real world parts that a guy in a prop shop, or a couple of guys in a prop shop, went out and fit together, and we called it a lightsaber. All right, let's dig down inside. This is a fully removable chassis with a kill switch.
The saber, take it.
And flipping around, we have our battery there. Now you'll see this kind of pulsating green light. That is to show you that this is the new Profi 3.9 board. It does have that breathing green LED on there. If you need to access your SD card, you can see it right there behind that connection. I'm shining the light on it right now. So you just get a pair of tweezers and pop that right out. So these are also pin connectors. You'll see that one pin that's missing right there. You're gonna line that up with the same section on the inside. So basically face the Profi board up towards the clamp. These are also the buttons, by the way. I'll show you that in a sec. And just boop, pop it right in. Put your sync part back on. Now this is a 2-button Profi. So you have your power and your secondary auxiliary over there.
Smooth gray.
Now for whatever reason, I don't know why, this damn thing sounds so good. It's got a ton of bass and bottom end.
A Mandalorian and a Jedi?
I am a Jedi, like my father.
I wish you could actually hear it in person. It just has a lot of depth in the tone. The overall tone just has a lot of depth in lower ends. It doesn't sound anything like what a Xeno would sound like, or it just sounds so damn good. This is pretty loud, and it's just so pleasant to the ear.
Master Windu.
Lord Vader.
So let's address the, I think this was recast from the KR-Sabers Korbanth version or something like that. I do have the Korbanth version here. Okay, now yeah, you'll notice that they are darn similar. However, the length is slightly off, I think. They're about the same. I mean, maybe it's like a hair. The 89 is like a hair shorter. All right, so I have them both sitting on the table, right next to each other, obviously. All right, so you can see that the core banth does sit over the 89 sabers just a hair. So it's a top of emitter longer. Now keep in mind, when I bought this in, I think 2002, I think it was, this was $740, I believe. All right, and this comes in at $550 with a blade. This did not come with a blade. And this is basically just me trying to address a lot of comments that a lot of people think it's just a recast of the core banth. So here's the core banth. So we're looking at 19.19 for the top emitter. 19.22 for the top emitter there. Let's do the little wind vane section. What is that? 1.94. .38. What is it? 4.99. That's coming in at 6.37. This one's gonna be a little hard, I think. 10.78. 9.68. And also what I'm noticing just from looking side by side, that the incline of the top piece is a lot steeper on the 89 versus that. I don't really know how to measure that unless I have some kind of angling tool of some sort. But just wanted to point that out. And this is gonna have to be a little rough because I have nothing to grab on the bottom, but we're looking at 63.31. Look, I don't even have to change that measurement, and you can see how different that is. This is far over the top there, but let me see if I can get a rough idea. About 62.61. Now these look about the same here. 38.58. 37.19. 6.67. 7.05. Let's do the overall width of the hilt. 37.55. 37.23. 37.76. And then you can see a huge difference just right there visually. I gotta close that down a lot. Looking at 34.81, and then a pommel size, 34.82, and I have to expand it to get onto the core band, 36.23. Now another big difference here are the emitters. On the 89 sabers, you actually have an emitter with a screw. This does not come off. This whole emitter section comes off. That you can put your blade in there and then tighten it up, and this would go over, screw on, and hide the retention screws. These were the buttons here, and on this is the buttons here. So honestly, to me, just visually looking at some of the slopes on some of the parts here, just the sections here, how they are milled, it does not seem to be like it's a recast. I hope that helped. Again, this did come in brand new, $200 less than the core banth version that I bought. And I don't know, maybe I'll wind up selling my core banth version at this point, because this is just as good. It sounds exactly the same. It feels exactly the same. And you do have a nice blade plug right there, just so you can check that out. All right, I have my Quad Star blade installed. Let's get going. We have a twist on and twist off. Oh, that sounds so good. Blasters. Lock up. Let's poke through some of the fonts a little bit.
Master Qui-Gon.
Now, when your blade's on, if you hold down auxiliary for about a second, you go into like a multi-block mode. So every time you kind of swing this, it will react. Turn that off.
Smooth gray.
That's pretty cool. So you can go forward on fonts by holding up and hitting the auxiliary.
I am a Jedi.
Smooth.
And if you want to go backwards, flip it upside down, hit auxiliary.
I am a Jedi.
A Mandalorian and a Jedi?
And to pick a color, you just hold auxiliary and hit power, twist. Let's go green. Same thing, auxiliary and power. Now, keep in mind that Profis can be programmed in so many different ways, and if you get on to the program itself and learn how to program it, you can do whatever it is that you want with this. So my version may be slightly different than a version you have on Profi from another company or something that you've programmed personally. So do make sure you go through all of the instructions and menu systems and everything that were included in that printout form from that green envelope. All right, my friends, that is it. What do you think of the Kenobi TV series lightsaber? This is the 89sabers version from CCSABERS. Again, I'll put a discount code and direct link for you down in the description. And don't forget when you're down there to hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. I do have more 89sabers from CCSABERS coming up shortly. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of this lightsaber down below, and I will see you on the next video. Be safe and kind out there in the world. See ya.